Welcome to my tutorial for beginners, Landscape in Acrylics with Palette Knife. These are the palette knives which I'll be using. They are standard palette knives. These are some spatulas which are disposable and can help in texture or in mixing paint. On the left side, I have displayed the colors which I'll be using, which are blues, green and purples, and yellow, oranges and ochre. I'm drawing the horizon line. I sprayed the canvas with some water to wet it. Now I'm mixing purple and white for the sky, starting from the top. I'm using purple especially because it's an autumn sky, and I feel that purple is is something between a winter sky and autumn sky. So it's going to be darker at the top, and I'm mixing some white in it as I go down. Now with palette knife, the beauty is that you get some very beautiful edges and marks, and you can just use different gradations of colors to show distance. And as I go downwards, I'm going to make the purple lighter, adding more white in it to create depth. We have to keep loading our palette knife because it's not like a brush. So every time we apply it on the canvas, we have to reload it. Now I'm adding some more white as I reach the horizon. Trying to connect the white and the horizon with the top part of the sky, and so that they don't look like the separate pieces of work, separate parts of work. And now I'm adding a little ultramarine. On the right side, I'm putting some ultramarine in purple to make it slightly darker as compared to the left side, top left side, because my source of light is coming from the left and a bit from the center and a bit from the left. Now I'm adding some yellow and white near the horizon to give the warmth of the sun, just here and there, tapping my palette knife, not dragging it, just tapping and dabbing color onto it so that it has that beautiful natural sky effect. Now as I'm almost through with the sky, and now I'll come to the foreground, which is going to be a contrast to the sky. I'm mixing phthalo blue and I have mixed ultramarine and phthalo blue and applying the paint with my palette knife in an angular motion. The reason is that this part which I'm painting right now will be nearer to the eye, and the part which is on the left where the source of light is going to be slightly, it's almost quite a lot away from the eye. So that's why I'm using saturated colors in an angular motion. Now I'm going to move towards the left of my foreground, gently in the same direction, horizontally, to keeping in mind that I have to keep this place warm. I've added yellow ochre now to project this part of the foreground more, to make it more prominent, moving upwards at the same time, covering the front as much as I can. And now with whatever paint I have on my palette, I am spreading it towards the left foreground. But I'm keeping the same direction, horizontal, diagonal, and here and there near the front I'm using some ochre, and also the bottom left I have used ochre as well. As I move upwards towards the horizon, I'm softening up the colors by mixing white with ochre and phthalo blue, because that part is catching light. Here and there I might darken it just to create variation of colors. Now I'm adding ochre right in the front, thick ochre strokes. On the left again I have put some lighter colors because I don't want to forget that part is receding and is not catching as much, is not as prominent as the part which is in the front on the right. Now I'm covering all the areas where the canvas is showing here and there. At the same time, I'm also adding some darks. Now going back to the horizon line, I'm going to give an illusion of trees. Now with the palette knife, when you make trees, you have to dab very gently. You don't drag too much, because now I'm adding some bushes here using the same color, which is purple, blue, phthalo blue and white. So these will be the darkest parts of these trees, which are right at the back. And now to make a line, I will let you know how you make a line with the palette knife. Now this big tree on the right side, which is the largest one. So I'm just using my palette knife gently, very gently, just dabbing here and there, and using the same color in some other trees as well, so that no one tree attracts too much attention. I'm spreading this, spreading the foliage. Again, now this tree is coming forward. Again, I'm dabbing more color, more marks. When you put marks or strokes with your palette knife, you have to keep moving it in different directions, otherwise you might just get straight strokes. Here, I keep moving the palette knife in different directions, using it from the side, front, back. Now again I'm adding some lighter foliage on the tree, so that it kind of doesn't stand out too vividly in the background. It should sort of become part of the background. Now I've gone lighter. I have used white, a bit of ochre, and the purple which I already had, so more white. Now as you can see, the trees, the foliage of the tree is kind of not standing out like blotches or like a big, like very, very strong marks, but like they are, they have a character now. On this large tree again, I am again putting the same color, not using too many different colors on the trees. I'm using now a lighter tone, much lighter than the one I used before, so that the trees go further back. In this painting, trees are not the focal point. They just assist in making the whole composition. So I have to make sure that they don't catch too much attention. Here I'm adding some lighter color. This is the source of light. Using my palette knife in different directions and different ways. Now I'm drawing a line with the palette knife on the far right. Yes. What you need to do is that you have to load the edge of your palette knife with paint, and then just draw the line. Every time you make a branch or a line with palette knife, you have to reload your brush, like so. I reloaded my brush, and it makes such a lovely line, and which is not so straight, but it has, because it's broken here and there, and gives a very nice effect. Now I'm applying green, ultramarine, phthalo blue, thick layers of all these colors, ochre, yellow ochre, more phthalo blue, ultramarine, green, more green, phthalo blue, more ultramarine. As you can see, I am applying very thick paint, with my palette knife. Yes, like so, thick paint. But I am avoiding, when I go to the left, as you can see, I've lightened the paint, although it is thick, because as I said before, that part has to disappear. Now I'm dragging with my palette knife one color into another, just dragging like so. The best thing with palette knife painting is to use colors as they are, because they mix. When we are working with them, they mix and they create a lovely effect. Here again, I'm dragging the colors into each other. It has started looking something like leaves or bushes or grasses. Now this is my disposable spatula. I will use it and see whether it's going to be useful or not. Now I'm just making a few marks which resemble grasses, leaves. Yeah, it is quite useful because it's giving me very nice, varied thickness of grasses. Oh, I should use it more often. Now, again, here I'm using the same spatula. You can get a proper spatula, palette spatula as well. This is just a disposable one. Now the grasses are coming alive. The grasses on the left are softer, and as we come towards the right, they project more and are more intense, the colors. Wow, this is the grasses are. Yes. I'm continuing to use that spatula. Just doing magic and just flicking it in different directions to make different marks. Grasses in different directions, upright grasses, grasses which are in going slant, and grasses which are almost disappearing in the dark. I have taken some yellow blue to add some dark, because we have to make sure that we have the darks and the lights in the right proportion in a composition. Now I'm adding this yellow orange just to break the monotony and create interest. More grasses. Yes, and now you see, when you break the monotony, it looks like real grass, and it doesn't look patchy. I have used some darker color in the back where I kept on saying my light is coming and which part that part is receding, just so that the grasses, when I use white with the spatula, they stand out. Now I'm taking yellow and white, and I'm going to add some more leaves and grasses here, and just dab here and there to create unity and harmony in the painting. So, which is very important. We have to very strategically repeat certain colors, muted or saturated here and there, so that our painting doesn't look as if it's broken into, it's like in 2 or 3 pieces. It should have unity. Now I have added with this spatula, pointed spatula, I've added some orangish yellow with white on the trees. The purpose again is to create harmony, so it becomes part of the whole picture, part of the foreground. And since they are autumn trees, they can certainly have warmer highlights. I'm adding some to this bushy tree, some warm color, muted with white, adding it to the bushy tree. I will have to add this color somewhere in the front also, which is the right. I made a line here, just dabbing a line and a few grasses to connect that part with the rest of the painting. If I had left it all white or very muted on the left, then it would have sort of disappeared. But we have to make sure that receding part is connected with the whole composition. I'm coming down. The spatula is amazing, definitely. And the best part is you can, if it becomes too messy, you can just use another one. Now I'm adding grasses in different direction. There are also leaves in it, we can't count the leaves. We can only just give an impression. On the right side, I'm adding the warmer touch to this large tree. Now the purpose of this tree was to bring your eye back into the picture. Now, which is into the completed picture. I've added some yellow orange to connect the upper part of the painting with the rest of the composition. Tapping my palette knife gently, just hovering over the trees, just touching here and there, not pressing too hard, just gentle taps. I'm adding this color here also because otherwise that tree would definitely disappear, and we want it to be connected to the rest of the composition. We don't want it to disappear. So I'm going to take some more of that yellow and add it here. And because that's our source of light, so it can be brighter as well, but not too bright because that part is fading away. So we will just add some lemon yellow. This tree needs to be softened up at the top. Adding some bright grass with my palette knife. Of course, palette knife is so fun. And now I'm adding more lighter areas with my palette knife. Using it backwards, frontwards, sideways, I keep moving my palette knife in different directions, whichever can bring out the best effect. Ultimate effect is very important. As you can see, I've added some darks near the tree so that the eye doesn't get stuck there and it keeps coming back. Here I'm adding some lights, which are obviously some lighter areas here as well. Now here I've added light yellow to connect this part with my receding area on the left. So like we have to connect the left side with the right, similarly we have to connect the right side with the left so that there is harmony and balance in the painting. Nothing like a palette knife. The spatula was right, nice, but the effect of palette knife is totally different. Now I'm adding some of this color on the tree as well, so it becomes more harmonious, and it is definitely catching light. Now using the back of my spatula, I am using thick red dots. In fact, I'm going to make flowers here. So I'm just placing these thick dots, and at the bottom I have used a darker red, like so. Now wiping my spatula, the back of my spatula, I've added yellow on the top, like this, sitting on the top. Later on I'll work on these, another flower. These are autumn flowers, and I've used carmine, a very dark red, to mark out this flower. And on top of it I'm using orange yellow. I have to make sure that I don't make 2 flowers or 3 flowers in a row. They have to be painted randomly, as in nature. Again, over here I have added orange, yellow and red. Here again, I think I'm going to do it here. Yes, I think that's right. This is red, giving a nice round shape. I'll be putting lighter colors on these round bursts of flowers, but not the same yellow. In some flowers I will be using yellow orange. In some I'm going to use lemon orange, and as I go from the front, which is my focal point, I'll make sure I'll have to use more desaturated reds and yellows. Right now, here I have mixed yellow with red and a bit of white, because as the flowers go back, they are not going to be as vivid and as bright as the ones which are in the front. Also, I'll have to make them smaller, and sometimes they will just be dots indicating that they're flowers. Now, in a composition, we have to keep the focal point very, very prominent. And I have used especially these colors. Now I put yellow. You see, the flowers are going back. As I go back, I'm using more yellow with a touch of red. Here as well, I have used yellow with white. To show that they are at the back. Now I have placed all the flowers where I wanted them to be. now with my palette knife, I'm just trying to give an impression of the petals of the flowers. We can't count the petals, but we can give an impression that these are petals. And this is just the first part of creating petals. Here again, with the tip of my palette knife, I'm creating the impression of petals. This flower is a bit, yes, again. Now the petals are not all in one direction. They have to be in different direction because the flowers are not facing the same, they're not in the same position. So some are upright, some are bound down. There. More petals. More petals. And you see the dark color behind the red and orange paint and the yellow paint which I had put for the flowers is showing through the petals, which is giving a lot of depth. There are some indications of flowers in the on the left, far left top corner, but less, they are more muted with white or with yellow. Now I'm using yellow with, in fact it's Naples yellow, which I'm using on top of the top part of the flower to give them a solid or like a three-dimensional look. But I keep changing the intensity of Naples yellow by sometimes mixing it with white, sometimes mixing it with lemon yellow to create kind of variety. No two flowers must look the same, whether in size or in color, but overall if you look at them, you'll feel that they belong to the same kind of flowers. I'm adding a few dots at the back to show the flowers are reaching up to the horizon line. Here I'm adding some bright Naples yellow. Just on one side. Again, now I've added Naples yellow with white. Here again, using the tip of my palette knife, I'm accentuating the front flowers, trying to make them look more solid. I don't think solid is the word, three-dimensional, and as if they have some character. Here again I'm using yellow, less Naples yellow, more lemon yellow. Lemon yellow is a much softer yellow, so if you just mix it with white, it will take your eye back. Same motion, just tip of my my palette knife, which is giving such lovely marks, and they almost look like petals. I have to load my for each mark I have to load my palette knife. Sometimes it works, it can give me more marks, but mostly I have to reload the tip of my knife. Here I'm adding some yellow to show the source of light. More yellow. Making sure that I don't cover all the red flowers. The impression of there being flowers, there being red flowers at the back is important. Now in certain places I'm just using yellow as flowers to break this the monotony, or what would you say, to break a row of red colors, and add a little interest. Here I'm adding some dots, trying to show that there are some leaves or some growths where the flowers are growing. Dot here, dot there. I'm adding some lighter areas now to show that the light is coming from there on the left side, and it is touching the darker area here and there. Like so. Here it's touching the darker area, making the top part this cluster of bunch of flowers. Here I'm trying to add some dark leaves so that these flowers over here seem as if they're hidden behind the leaves, which is adding to the composition very nicely. These flowers are kind of hidden behind the leaves or the grasses. Trying to give the same effect here and there. Now I think I should put some ochre yellow here to show that there is light striking it at these areas as well. Adding light here as well. Just lightly going over the darker areas, just touching subtle strokes, that's all, very subtle, to create unity in the painting and to bring harmony. I'm adding some extra yellow, Naples yellow, on the top of the flowers, giving some final touches, some petals, some brighter petals at the top to make them project a bit more. Here again, on this side, I have added some Naples yellow and some yellow flowers somewhere hidden here and there. Now with yellow, Naples yellow and lemon yellow, I'm just skimming very lightly over the different areas, especially near the horizon. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.